Happy Wednesday. Happy Work It Wellness Wednesday to everyone. I'm so grateful to be here. Not doing the Sunday meditations because I'm on break. I realize how much I miss doing this, even if it's not something that I genuinely love to do. I do miss it when it's gone. My name is Coach Yolanda, International Spiritual Life Coach and owner of Evolving Spirit Wellness. And welcome to Work It Wellness Wednesday. I am so excited for my conversation tonight. My guest and I were just having a conversation, and I informed her that I kind of changed the format maybe 30 minutes before we were supposed to come on because I was recognizing and receiving information that there are many of us who are tired, mentally, emotionally tired. I will tell you that I have not been feeling my best. We're just tired. We're frustrated. And so changing the format just a little bit. Hey, Marissa Price, happy Wednesday to you. I'm looking forward to tonight's chat and my chat with Marissa Price. Marissa is going to be our next guest on Work It Wellness Wednesday, and I can't wait to have the conversation with her as well. We're tired, y'all. It is hot. Wherever you at, I don't care where you're at. It's hot. It's hot. We're frustrated. There's some things going on in the ether, and I think it is affecting all of us. It is certainly affecting me. As I said, I had not been feeling well physically, mentally, or emotionally. So I kind of sat myself down for a little bit. I went to the doctor today and he says I'm okay. She said I was okay. Um, and so I do feel better about that. But I do get this sense that we are mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally tired, frustrated, disappointed, whatever we may be going through. I feel like we're all going through it. And so I wanted to start tonight before I bring my guest in by whew, listen, Marissa, thank you. And I am sending you the same well wishes because I think we have to be authentic and real and let people know when we are not doing well. Because so much is being asked of us. I know right now there are at least 5 conversations that I need to have with people that I haven't started. I feel like I'm not showing up in the places that I want to show up in my best self because I'm tired. I can tell you, and maybe 3 days ago, my beloved would have to remind me I was ready to throw all of this away, walk away, say, shut this down. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm just going to fade quietly into the background because I don't want to do it anymore. Now, did I have a conversation with God about it? No. Did I pray about it? No. Did I do all of the things that I would tell my clients to do before I came to that level of decision? Absolutely not. I was just tired and speaking from a place of I felt defeated. I felt unsupported. I was feeling all of the things, all of the negative things that one can feel. I felt them all at once. It was affecting me physically, mentally, like it was rough. And I'm still, puttering along. I am in a better place because I did those things that I would tell my clients to do. I sat with my ancestors yesterday. I literally had to put my feet in some new turned over dirt. Um, I have my water that's been charged by the full moon. Like I had to do all of the things, the spiritual bed, like all of the things, the praying, the meditating, the things that I know to do that I just did not reach for quick enough, that had me feeling like this is all for nothing and I don't want to do it anymore. Like somebody point me in another direction because this is not it. And so I wanted to read from one of the books that I would say sparked my curiosity about who I am spiritually. And it's from Mama Ia, my Mama Ia. One day my soul just opened up. And let me tell you something. I bought this book. back in 1998, and you will see how beat up it is, but it still gets the job done. I don't care how old this book is, it still gets the job done. I found this at a time when I needed it the most. In 1998, I was married, mother of three, and my son Isaiah had just been diagnosed with autism. So life was lifing, and I felt incomplete. I felt not well adjusted to deal with all of the things that I was dealing with. And I was also pregnant. You know what? I forgot about that. I was also pregnant with my fourth child while finding out that my third child had autism. And they were telling me that the child that I was carrying may also have some significant health needs. So life was lifing. And I found this book, and to this day, it still is my go to. There is a section in this book about emotional neutralization process. Now, Mama Ia has done significant work since this book about that process, but there is a chart in the book, and it goes on to the second page. I printed out that chart, laminated it, and I still carry it with me to this day because it's a way for you to neutralize those emotional imbalances like I was experiencing and like many of us might be experiencing. If you feel like you are out of balance, there is a mental imbalance, emotional imbalance, there are tools that may be helpful. And this was and still is helpful for me. And I'm not going to read all of it, but I want you to get the gist of what it says. It's, it gives different emotions. So when you feel angry, it's spiritual principles that you can practice. When you feel angry, you must practice forgiveness. Now that's difficult. When you're angry, you want to be angry, you want to get justice, you want to get fight back, you want to do all of the things. The last thing you're thinking about is forgiveness. But if you want to take that emotional imbalance and correct yourself, practice forgiveness. When you feel confused, and many of us might be feeling like that, when you feel confused, you must practice meditation. Meditation is going to support you in gaining clarity in those places where you don't feel clear. When you feel disappointed, and that was one of the major feelings that was coming over me, you must practice truth. Now I'm going to read some of the truth. Admit to yourself your true intent. Admit to yourself whether or not you told everyone involved your true intent. Forgive yourself for not being honest. Make a new plan that will get you what you really want. So those are some of the tools when you're feeling disappointed. And disappointed is something that I feel often that leads me to, I don't, having an emotional tantrum where I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. And did I go to the truth? No, I did not. But when I sat with the truth, uh, did I really have a clear intention of what my expectations were? No. Did I tell everybody else what my intentions were? And was I really clear? No. Was I willing to make a new plan? No. And was I willing to forgive myself? No. It just became this downward spiral from disappointment to you're not enough. This is why things never work out for you, and all of that other stuff that does not lead us to healing. Also on this list, when you're feeling doubtful, which was also an emotion, you must practice patience. And let me tell you about a lesson in patience. So I said I bought this book in 1998. In the back of the book, as is true in most of Mama I's, well, look how torn up this book is. There is a section in the back of the book that I filled out back in 1998 about becoming a member of Inner Visions Worldwide, which is Mama Ia's, Iyanla Van Zant's Healing Spiritual Development Institute. I filled that out in 1998. I never sent it in because it's still in the book. It didn't happen for me until 2018. So it took 20 years from me filling that thing out in 1998 until 2018. 2018 is when I finally took the step forward and joined the Inner Visions family. And so you talk about patience. So when you are feeling doubtful, you must practice patience. And I don't know how much patience all of us have right now because we can feel like I'm out of patience. But I'm saying to you, what you may be doubting today may be your absolute truth tomorrow or 20 years from now. You don't know. You don't know. But I know I filled this out hoping that it would be an answer for me in 1998. It did not become a true realization until 2018. Also on this list, if you are feeling frightened or fearful, you must practice trust. How many of us, and we've talked about this during our inner child healing series about trusting yourself, trusting yourself. So if you are feeling fearful, you got to practice trust. If you are feeling guilty, you must practice. Oh, it's not in here. Truth, same thing. Remain conscious of what you are doing at all times. Explore the ways you can compensate someone for what you have done. Many of us are carrying guilt that's not even ours, but it might be the catalyst to allow you to release some energy by helping someone else. If you are feeling lonely, you must practice service. If there are things that are going on in your life where you are feeling isolated, unappreciated, you can't seem to get things to work in your life, then go help someone else. Put yourself in service. And then you'll show and demonstrate to yourself that that lonely feeling may not be the real emotion, that there might be something else. Maybe it's disconnect what you're feeling and you're thinking it's loneliness. And if you are feeling unappreciated, you must practice non judgment. Examine your expectations of others. Forgive yourself for judging others. Do something nice for a stranger or write yourself a love letter. Now, that is just a summary of this entire book, but I'm telling you, it still works. Or as they say, it still preaches all these years later. And when I'm feeling funky, when I'm feeling like I am emotionally out of balance and I'm trying all of the things and the things are not working. It's like, did you ever just sit down and practice some spiritual principles? The spiritual principles that you know that you would give to one of your clients. I didn't, I wasn't, now I am. And I continue to be on this journey of healing, which is why I'm excited to have this conversation tonight with my guest. Because based upon the way we met, we probably should have never even met. So I had ordered car service. I get into this car and we haven't even left the street. I don't even think we left my driveway. And there was a question like, have we met before? I think I talked to you before. And I'm like, no, you didn't talk to me. Although it could have been possible because I'm always running my mouth somewhere. Come to find out, we had never met. We had never talked to one another. But the conversation was as if we were continuing a conversation that we had already started. And from that point, it led to multiple conversations on healing, wellness, support, truthfulness. You know how you meet someone, a stranger, and you just start telling them all of your business, but you don't feel embarrassed. That is how I met the owner of Living Fiery. And I'm so excited to have this conversation about her wellness journey, the work that she is doing, the work that we have talked about together. And hey, Miss Lady, welcome.
Hi.
I'm so excited. Let me just
Yeah, me
start
too.
again by saying neither one of us likes to do this. Like
No.
we don't. However, when you have been called to do something, you do it. You answer,
Right.
right? And so
Absolutely.
again, we should have never even met. Like we really should not have met, but I'm glad that we did because our conversations about wellness, about healing, about honesty, about trauma, all of it has really been supportive to me. I trust it has been to you. And
Absolutely.
without telling too much, I would like for you, in your own words, to describe who you are. Who are you, Miss Lady? Who are you?
Hi, everyone. And first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure. So thank you so much for this opportunity. But I'm Melissa Nicole Rogers is my legal name, but I don't like to be called that name. So I go by Leesh Nicole Rogers. And like you said, I've been on a rough time, and we all have endured rough moments in our lives, and we realize at some point that we need to make a difference or a change in our lives. So, um, and that's what led me to this spiritual journey thus far.
So I have to go back because you said your name and we've had conversations about your name. Now, as long as I've known Leesh, I never get her name right. And then one day I said to her, "Are you connected to this name? Because I can't get it right. It doesn't feel like you are connected to your name." And she's like, "Absolutely not. Never been connected to my name."
No, and it's true. Ever since I was a kid, and I just never did, and I never understood quite really why. Um, Throughout my whole time of life until present, like most recently, and it's because of a lot of things, things I didn't know, things I didn't understand, and one of the main reasons was because I was told my name was something, and then 15 years later, I found out that it wasn't even my actual name I had been using my whole entire life. So, I mean, I just never really felt connected to my name.
And to me, that's like one of those spiritual experiences that you didn't even know that you had until you get to that moment. You were like, oh, that's why that makes sense. This is why I never
Hmm.
felt connected. This is why I never felt comfortable. Whether it's your name, whether it's your family, some of us are born into families and we're like, these cannot be my people. Like, this just does not feel like where I'm supposed to be. You could be living in a town and you just don't feel connected and you think something is wrong with you. When
Hmm.
all along it's like this was something decided by someone else who may not have known what was best for me in terms of my name. And I'm not saying that your caregivers were just, loosey goosey with naming you, but we
Right.
know, we know there is a knowing that each and every single one of us has. Sometimes we don't trust it, and that's another reason why we're having this conversation, and that's why it came up in this book, because trust on a spiritual journey, if you're not developing trust in yourself, then where are you going? You know what I mean? You will
Yeah.
be led by other people, other things. You'll be running over here to this person, running over there to that person, if you are not trusting yourself. So, word to the wise, if something about you doesn't feel like it's connected, don't think there's something wrong. That might be a divine opportunity for you to say, maybe there's something else I need to discover.
Yeah.
Um, I feel that way about my middle name. I curse anybody who knows it if they speak it, because I just don't feel connected to it. And I'm grateful that I have been given another spiritual name that I feel connected to, that I will take, the opportunity to change legally, because, and it's no disrespect to my caregivers, my parents, but that's not me. That's
Hmm.
who you thought that I would become, but I know who I am now. And so, can you talk about the discovery that the name was never the name, and have you found what you feel connected to?
Yeah, so when I made the discovery, it was, completely shocking to me because my whole entire life I have been, using his name in school, on job applications, everything that I've been doing. And it's like I got to like high school when we moved a lot. My dad was a truck driver, so we always relocated a lot. But the high school that we went to, they asked for a different documentation that I guess apparently no other school had ever asked for, and that's when it all got revealed to me. So it was, like I said, a shock for sure. And for a long time, I didn't know what I wanted to change my name to, and I still presently haven't changed my name. I still haven't really found something that I really feel grounded and connected to. But however, I've grown accustomed to the name of Leash, and I like it, and I've been sticking with it for quite a while.
Okay, and that I can absolutely say fits you, because even when I read your name, I'm like, that's just not her. So, recognizing that shift of, okay, I don't feel connected to this. I feel connected to something else. What other shifts have happened for you? Because you mentioned trauma. We talked about, before we came on, we talked about how all of us, every single one of us, has experienced some level of trauma relative to our own life experience. How did you
Hmm.
feel? Did you feel a shift? Were you consciously aware of the shift, or did you find yourself in a place where you're like, I got to figure this out?
Yeah, so actually, like you said, with you, it took 20 years, excuse me, for your membership, and congratulations on that to take place. So it didn't happen for me, oddly, until I was in the rough times in my marriage, and I was married for about 6.5 years. It, like everybody's dream, it starts off great, and you just don't foresee the future. How people can change and how things can just, don't resonate with us anymore. So, and sometimes how we try to resist that, and we want to surrender. Whether we don't want to look like a failure, we don't want to look like we gave up, or like we want to be talked about around the community. And so I felt all of those things, right? I didn't trust in the process. I didn't trust in the emotional roller coaster that I was on throughout the course of my marriage. And it took a while, like I said, 6.5 years for me to come to that conclusion, and then some, right? And so it finally happened, and I was in disbelief. I didn't really want to talk about it. I didn't want to tell people about it. I felt guilty. I was ashamed. I was all of these things, like all these emotions. But I had to get real with myself, because I said that I couldn't continue to live like this and be like this, and I had to make some type of change. So I ended up looking for answers, right? I started seeking the questions of, why are these things happening and what's causing these things? And that kind of catapulted me into my spiritual journey. I came across Abraham Hicks, who, we've talked about plenty of times about Miss Esther, and I love her to death.
Uh-huh.
But I came across one of her segments, and she spoke highly of this retreat in Asheville, North Carolina. And we all see the signs, but we ignore the red flags, or we ignore the cues, right?
Mhm.
And so for a whole month had gone by, when I had got the cue from God, the universe, whatever everybody resonates with, I resonate with the universe. And I ignored it. I put it off. I made up all kind of reasons why I couldn't do it, and whatever. So I ended up meeting these ladies from upstate New York, which was oddly strange because I have family in upstate New York, and I think I shared the story with you as well. But they spoke about going to this town in Asheville, North Carolina, and I said, "Oh my God! Like, what are the chances of these ladies from upstate New York, 5 hours away? I meet them here in Newark, Delaware, and they're going to Asheville. And Asheville's not.
Oh, we froze a little bit. I'll keep talking because I'm okay with doing that until Leash comes back. As a matter of fact, I'm going to remove you and then I'll put you back in once you stop buffering. And so I will continue the story because I do know it. Asheville, North Carolina is not as widely known as Charlotte or Durham or some of the other cities in North Carolina, but if you know that part of North Carolina, it's got some special energy. And so these women were going to the salt a salt retreat, where they have the Himalayan salt cave. And Leash stepped out on faith. She found an Airbnb. She drove from Delaware to North Carolina, all in this, purpose filled weekend to find answers to some of those questions that she was talking about. And while it may not happen that way for all of us, I know, as she said, there are sometimes moments where things are presented and we ignore it. And a lot of times it is the emotional imbalances that we are experiencing. And we're thinking something's wrong with me. I'm a failure. I'm this, I'm that. And all the while, it is the divine opportunity to seek something other than what you have been doing, saying, and creating for yourself. Those emotional imbalances, we should not take them lightly because it can lead you to your greatest healing. If I hadn't filled this out in 1998, it may have never crossed my mind again. But when it did, when the opportunity presented itself in 2018, I was like, you've been wanting to do this for 20 years. If you don't do this now, then you will never do it. And so, for all of us who are feeling like life is really lifing right now, this might be your divine opportunity to see what is on the other side of this frustration, this disappointment, this guilt, or whatever it is that you are experiencing. And you could be experiencing all of them at the same time: the uncertainty, the shame, the embarrassment. And just as Leesh said, sometimes we're in something and we want it to work out so badly that we are willing to damage ourselves further just to be right. And so, how many of us are stuck in something right now? We're like, I risked everything for this. And if this doesn't work out, then I don't know what I'm going to do. But it's frustrating. You're disappointed. It's driving you to exhaustion, mental exhaustion, emotional exhaustion. What if you looked at it differently and said, you know what, this is my divine opportunity to get the greatest healing of my life? That I don't want to wait 6 years. I don't want to wait 20 years. I don't want to wait. Now, you will need to have some patience. But what if you looked at it differently? Whatever you are experiencing right now, what if you said, you know what, this is my divine opportunity for me to see what is on the other side if I looked at things differently? One of the other things that we were going to have a discussion about, and one of the things that I know that Leash works very, very hard at in her business, is supporting people through self limiting beliefs. And so I had a million of them this week, last week, last month. And one of my self limiting beliefs is not enoughness. I never think that I'm enough. I don't think I'm smart enough. I don't think I'm wise enough. I don't think I have enough of whatever it is necessary to meet the needs of people who contact me. And all the time, I'm like, office hours are open. Y'all call me, call me, call me. And on the other side of that, I'm like, I hope I'm able to meet the need. I hope I'm able to support them. I hope. And there's this self limiting track that continuously runs in my head that I'm willing to admit is my thing of, you can't do this. And it's so easy to take that self limiting belief, wrap it around insecurity, wrap it around guilt, unappreciated disappointment, and then it becomes, I don't want to do this anymore. This is too difficult. I'm not good at it. Nobody's showing up. Nobody appreciates me. It's so easy for that to happen. And so when we are feeling those emotional imbalances, which is why that chart in this book is so important to me, because I want to go there first. If I'm feeling disappointed, then let me practice. Let me go to the spiritual principle that's going to support me so I don't go in that downward spiral. Hey, my love, Natasha, Chicago. This convo is on time. It has to be, because I'm telling you, we were going to have a completely different conversation tonight. And then I started reading some stuff online. I said, everybody is going through it. What is going on? Why is everybody, feeling so sad? Here I'm thinking I'm feeling sad today because Beyonce's 30 minutes away in Philly and I can't be there. No, it's bigger than that. It's heavier than that. It is this feeling of, I keep trying to figure things out and they are not working. So it feels like we are failing. It feels like we are imposters. It feels like no one wants to hear it. No one wants to connect with me. I'm, you know, just spinning my wheels, trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do, where I'm supposed to be, how I'm supposed to show up, how am I going to pay my bills and also feed my passion. This thing that keeps me up at night, this thing that I can't stop thinking about, this thing. And sometimes it is the place where I feel my greatest heartache and my greatest heartbreak. I love what I do. I've been in business since 2017 and it is have evolved, which is why I called it Evolving Spirits. But sometimes this business is my greatest heartbreak because it doesn't always do what I want it to do. And I don't always do what I know to do, which is, what were your expectations? Maybe there's something greater. The thing that you say you want to do, maybe that's not the thing. Maybe there is something greater. Here's my girl. All right.
All
Listen, I
right.
knew you was coming back. I knew you were coming back. And I ain't got no problem talking and running my mouth. But as I said, we shifted the focus a little bit to talk about those self-limiting beliefs and
Hmm.
how they can get a chokehold on your dreams, your visions, your goals. And if you do not support yourself, it's like Ursula taking the mermaid down underneath the water, and you may not be able to come out of that if you
Absolutely.
don't have a great support system. So I have shared with my limiting one of my limiting beliefs. What limiting beliefs were happening for you that kept you in a relationship that was frustrating you?
So, not love being loved, and I didn't love
Mm,
myself enough at the time to know that I was worthy of better and deserving of having a better life, and
mm,
that, and I just took a look around one day and I said, this can't be life. This can't be it for
no,
me. Like, I
can't be.
don't want to accept this anymore. And I had questioned myself time and time and time again, because I told myself what most of us tell every, whatever, that, oh, this will get better, I can fix this, I
Mm,
can change this, I can do this, I, and it's like, no, we have to love ourselves and know that, time is up. This cycle has ran its course, and it's just going to keep repeating itself over and over again until something breaks. And we see it all the time on news, from people stay in these abusive relationships, and someone ends up being killed, the
right.
children end up being, murdered or harmed or whatever the story is,
Or
because
damage.
everybody's story,
Right.
yeah, everyone's story is different. So it's like, what are we waiting around for? Why are we holding on? What are we holding on to?
Whew. And those relationships are not just romantic. It could be a work situation.
Absolutely.
It could be your family of origin where you're thinking it's going to get better, it's going to get better, it's going to get better. And here's the thing about it. We think and wait around for the other person to make
Hmm.
to make a move to get better, to improve, and the whole time we are just slowly being killed and killed and killed emotionally, mentally, and spiritually because we have been taught, well, just stick in there, just
Hmm.
hang in there.
Yep.
And it does take a lot of wisdom, insight, and faith to step out and say, you know what, I did what I can do. I can't change this person. So
Hmm.
I have to change. I either have to change the way I'm experiencing it, my perspective, or I've got to change the entire thing. It's a lot.
Absolutely.
It's a lot. It's not easy. And I hope no one thinks that we are making it seem like if you've got to make big life changes, that those are easy to make. Like I said, it took me 20 years to get to a point where I was like, if you don't do this now, and I mean risk everything, the money, like you can't think about those things. You have got
Yeah.
to say, what are you willing to do to save yourself, Yolanda? What are you
Hmm.
willing to do to step into what has been bothering you since you were a little girl? Like you've always
Hmm.
had this spiritual connection to things, and turned your back on it and say, "Oh, I can't do that. I wouldn't. That's
Yeah.
not me." Like even this
Yeah.
conversation, we both were like, "We don't like doing this kind of stuff." But guess what? If this is what we have been chosen to do, we can't walk away from it.
We got to answer the call, and we have to answer the call to ourselves, before. And I know you said about helping others, and that's very true, because that is, energy that can be ciphered to us in a good, positive way that can, you know, ignite that change,
Yeah.
which is why I call the business Living Fiery, because some of us don't even realize we have a torch that we can ignite. And some of us, we once had a torch, or we all have a torch, but some of
Hmm.
us don't even realize it, that we can even ignite it and light it. So, it's very true what you said. And I just wanted to piggyback on that a little bit, but it is very true.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it's a common thing in all walks of life, not just our, people like us. It's all walks of life,
Everyone.
and
Every
the thing.
single human being walking in existence, no matter how confident that we see them, there's always that
Hmm.
question of,
Yeah.
am I doing the right thing? I don't know what I'm doing. What's my passion? Even if it's a burning passion, you're still going to have questions.
Hmm.
You're still going to have
Oh,
doubt.
you know that very well about me.
Listen, how many times have we had to encourage one another like, well, what else you
Hmm.
going to do?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
which is what I had to say to myself. And I mean, I really was like, I'm done with this. I want to evolve in nothing. I don't want to evolve nobody, nowhere, no time. Don't talk to me about that. I'm gonna just quietly work somewhere. Don't put no microphone in front of my I don't want to do any of it.
Mhm.
And even my beloved was like, well, what you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
And the
Right.
first thing that I was like, did I even have a conversation with the very energy that put me in this place? Like,
Mhm.
imagine, and I've done this before, imagine you are working a job and everybody at the job loves you. And everybody's like, you do such a great job. We're so happy you're here. Here goes raise after raise after raise after, like, we really, really want you. And you're like, I don't want to do it. And you just walk off the job.
Mhm.
No explanation, no conversation. What do you think that happens to the people that you've just left behind who are counting on you to show up? And I said this to someone yesterday. We have no idea what we say and what we do, how it shifts things for other people.
Mhm.
So those days when I feel like I don't want to do this, now we are all deserving of rest. We are all deserving of a break. But you walking away from your passion has greater implications than you could ever imagine because it's your assignment. It is
Mhm.
what you were born for. It is what you do best better than anyone else. How dare you walk away from it or
Mhm.
think that you're not good enough? If we
Yeah.
weren't good enough, like you said, it wouldn't be burning. It wouldn't be keeping you up at night, making you feel like you're not doing enough. Because there are
Right.
things that I don't do well, and I'm okay not doing well. They're not my passion.
Mhm.
But the thing that I know that I'm great at, the reason it breaks my heart is if I don't feel like the expectations I have with myself have been realized. That's why it breaks my heart because I don't know what else I'm supposed to do.
Right. Right. And I know exactly how you feel because I struggled with, tarot reading for a long time, and I
Mm.
started it, then I stopped it. I was intimidated with starting it at all, and I only read privately for family and friends. And because my passion was trucking, I was 16-year truck driver, and that was everything that I knew, everything I loved, and I've done multiple other jobs, of course, but like you said, that was a passion that I had within me, and still do to this day. And I've been birthed around it since a baby, been around it all my life. So, and I just it saddens me when people don't really feel like they're worthy enough, or able to obtain their passion or their dream or go towards it and fight for it, because you don't want to live your life in regret. You don't want to look back and say, the chances that you could have taken, the opportunities that you miss, and anything in life, right? And so I kind of ignored my spiritual work. I did because I wanted to focus on building Ghost Hauling, which is a trucking company that I had attained, and I loved everything about it. But they'll
Let
bring
me
us back to reality. They'll snap
let
us
me
back
ask
real
you
quick.
this. Let me ask you this about the trucking. Was it your safety net?
I don't think so. Well, maybe because honestly, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to be honest and say yes because I was intimidated to tap into it. I was intimidated to tap into the spirituality. I was intimidated to see what my capabilities were. What I could actually do with these gifts, and I didn't want to. It was like, oh my god, like just kind of shut the door and
Uh-huh.
ignore. What we do around the house all day. We see the dishes and we walk by. We'll get to it later. We'll get to it
Mhm.
later. And so the angels get tired, and they be like, okay,
Listen,
you're
I
gonna get to it right now.
I
Okay,
know
we don't
my
we don't
angels are tired of me. I know they like this girl here
we
because
don't fooled around long enough.
what you said about being birthed around trucking, it's
Hmm.
almost like you could do that in your sleep.
Yes, I can.
So I don't mean to make it seem like it's easy, but it's something you're comfortable with. When we have to step into our spirituality, it's unknown.
Yeah,
We
it's
don't know.
very
We don't
uncomfortable.
know what's going to happen. It's literally stepping out on faith, and we're
Yeah.
humans. We like to control. We want to see. We want evidence. We want facts, figures, data. When you literally are counting on things you cannot see to guide you, it's
Hmm.
scary as hell.
It's very intimidating because, like you say, it's like stepping into the unknown because it truly is unknown. and you don't even know what you're actually relying on, what the signs you're looking for, because in the 3D there is no roadmaps. We don't have no signage that says, "Oh, here you go, exit here, go there." We gotta, like they say, walk by faith and not by sight.
Oh,
So, and it's the most challenging, the most difficult thing to do ever.
it is
And
scary to
it,
listen. I'm like, do y'all not know that sometimes I walk in the walls and I'm supposed to trust? I'm supposed to trust my heart. I'm supposed to, just connect to this. But this is what I know to be true.
yeah.
Every single time I have allowed myself to be guided, I have never been wrong. It
Hmm.
has never been wrong. Even if it didn't meet my expectations, I learned something that I never would have learned in any other way.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'm telling you, I was just having this conversation with my beloved earlier about communing with my ancestors. And sometimes we think communication is you say something and the ancestors will speak to you or come to you in a dream. The communication is going on all the time. So if I sit in front of my altar and I say, you know what, Daddy, I'm really having a difficult day and I can't figure something out, that's all I need to do,
Hmm.
because things will start to shift because of the conversation that we are having. That's the conversation.
And
Or
another thing
things
is we have to be vulnerable to have the conversation
to
with our
have the
angels,
conversation, right?
because we gotta. And people are like, well, how do we do it? The same way you pick up the phone and gossip
Listen,
about Stacy around the
listen,
corner. That
just
ain't got
speak
nothing to
it.
do with.
Just
That
speak
ain't got nothing to do with what you need to be focused on. The
right.
same way we do things like that. Um, the same way you talk to your angels, and you can communicate clearly with them the signs, the synchronicities, or however you want to be shown the form of communication, and they will answer. They will respond to you in that way. It
And
could
we're
be as
so
simple
busy
as,
looking for the obvious
mm,
response when
mm-hmm,
the responses are happening around us all the time. Marissa
yeah,
says she needed to hear, if you've been called to do it, you can't walk away. You can't,
no. Hi,
because
Marissa,
it's
and thank you for
literally
watching.
been etched into your DNA. This is what you were born to do. And you're going to walk
Mm-hmm.
away from it?
And
I
we can run
wouldn't.
from it. We can try to hide from it. And you know what? We just got to go through this all again when we reincarnate, whenever that may be. Because we are going to continuously
I don't want to
reincarnate
come back
until
through here.
we
Look,
fulfill our purpose. We
I
have
ain't
to
coming
fulfill
back
our
through here.
purpose.
I'm not doing it again. I'm not doing it again. I want to
And
do it now, and I want to do it. But however, even if I don't do it in the way that I fully know that I'm capable of doing it, I am okay.
hmm
I really
and
am.
that's
I may jokingly say, I don't want to come. Listen, if I have been given the grace to be here now and experience life the way that I've been experiencing, even with all of the trauma, I'm telling you, even with all of the trauma, as I've been saying, I still am going to be in God's grace.
absolutely. And the other part is believing and knowing and holding on to that. Again, the faith. We have to exercise that just like we exercise our mouths, right? We have to exercise that just like we exercise anything else that we do in our life, a muscle. It is a spiritual muscle that has to be utilized. You got to build
Ooh,
it up.
I'm so glad you said that. So, where did you find the muscle to start doing tarot? Because let me tell you, I tried it. I don't understand it. That's for y'all. Like that, for those of you who can communicate in that way, I am in awe of you,
Hmm.
because it just was not a form of communication that I felt comfortable doing all of the time. There are times
Hmm.
when I use cards, but tarot is very clear and very specific. So, where did that muscle come from where you now feel comfortable enough doing that for other people?
And well, listen, let me touch base on that real quick about you not feeling connected to tarot. So, as a spiritualist or an empath to any degree or aspect, it's we have badges, right? And we don't all have clearances to every single level. It's like a video game, we got to keep playing the levels until we get to the certain levels. And sometimes we don't never obtain or reach a certain level, and because we're not meant to access that level.
That's not your game.
um and we have to be okay with that.
Right,
So it's not for everyone to understand or
right.
interpret, but I exercised it by, like I said, I started out reading for family and friends. I know, like I said, I was intimidated because we know the world today is so cruel and people are so mean with the backlash, and oh my God, how people just don't care. They don't care. right? The unevolved, right? The unhealed.
Listen,
so,
anybody that wants to
so
put their face on social media, you better have some thick skin because these people are ready and at the ready. Like, I don't like the way you look. Rah, rah. Like,
yeah.
it's just amazing to me. Um,
So
that level of and that energy of let me see how nasty I can be. But
yeah.
continue, yeah.
So yeah, I went through all that mental agony I caused my own self. And I had to say, fuck it. I don't care what anybody think or what anybody says or feels. And this is, to anybody that whatever it is that you want to do with your life, we can't worry about who's going to approve it. We can't expect any like we can't worry about the small stuff because those of them that like it will rock with you. And those of them that don't, guess what? They still going to rock with you, but they're just going to be in the dark doing it secretly. So you got to just do what you got to do, and you got to continue to shine no matter what, because it's always going to be someone that's going to ridicule you. We see it every day with regular people, with celebrities. Someone always got something to say about something. It's just a given, and it's unfortunate, but you got to believe in yourself and trust in yourself and what you're called to do or being led to do, and just do that to the best of your ability.
And that is also part of building that spiritual muscle. It's like
Mm-hmm.
what's going to make you quit? What's going to make you
So,
cry? What's going to
mm-hmm.
make you fold? And I will be the first to say it's never other people. I really, and fuck it is a spiritual principle. But I really never care what other people say. It's always me. It is
Yeah.
always me. If I am
Mm-hmm.
not doing something, it's because Yolanda got in Yolanda's head and Yolanda tapped into that limiting belief, ran
Mm-hmm.
with it like it was a football, in the Super Bowl and just kept on running, running, running.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that I am so grateful that the time between those two occurrences, those experiences are less and less and less. Sometimes those downward spirals would last 3 months, six
Yeah.
months. Now I give about 2 or 3 days, like give me 2 or 3 days, and I allow myself to have it.
We're allowed to have a human sabbatical, and people get it
Right.
twisted. Just because we are who we are don't mean that we don't still experience human things,
Absolutely. I'm going
because
to be
they are
sad.
still human. Yeah.
But I had to give myself permission, similar to what it says in One Day My Soul Just Opened Up. When you're feeling disappointed, you have to practice truth. You have to be truthful that you're disappointed. And
Hmm.
what are you disappointed about? And once you start to dissect that, you may find that your expectations were never realistic, or there was always something greater.
Yeah.
We get disappointed when small things happen because we don't understand that big things are happening in the background spiritually. Like you
Yeah.
over here worried about something that could feed a turtle. Meanwhile, there's a whole buffet being prepared for you
Absolutely.
that you should be or could be expecting and saying, you know what, this was too little. This is why this didn't work. It was too little. I'm gonna think bigger. I'm gonna think grander. I'm just going to allow the process to happen as it happens, whether it takes me 6 years, 20 years, 20 minutes. I'm going to allow myself to feel what I need to feel and get to the truth and forgive myself for ever being disappointed in myself. Like that is something I have to do
Mm.
almost on a weekly basis. It's like, where
Yeah.
did you feel like you let yourself down this week? Please
Yeah.
forgive yourself for that. You're human. Like I said, right now, there are a bunch of conversations. People who have reached out to me, I haven't got back to them people. And does it eat me up at night? Absolutely. I'm like, see, you don't do what you're supposed to do. And it's like, calm down.
Yeah.
When it is time to have the conversation, the words will come, the opportunity will be presented, and all things will work for everyone's highest good. And if it doesn't, then it's not supposed to be you.
Yeah, and that's a part of again exercising the faith, the
Right.
beliefs. It's self encouraging, because some people we wait around expecting someone else to motivate us, and depending on who you're hanging around with, it may not never happen, right? It may not never come, because they don't want you to do better. They don't want you to progress. They want to keep you right where you're at. Okay,
Yes,
so
Mo said human sabbatical. That's what we all gonna be using. When
so
we don't feel like doing anything, I'm on a human sabbatical. Right.
absolutely.
I love it. I love it.
And I will write y'all a note, okay? So come
Yes,
see
come to the
me.
spiritual life coaches, and we will write everybody a note. Uh,
Absolutely.
D Bazo is on a human sabbatical for 3 days. Don't ask
Mm-hmm.
her any questions. Don't expect her to show up. She's on a sabbatical. Like, yeah,
And they cannot discredit it because it's a part of your spirituality. It's a part of your religion, right? So,
Mhm.
there you go.
And so that's why I have this conversation, because for a very long time, I even thought I had to be one way in my personal life and one way in my professional life. When I first started my business as a massage therapist, I thought that I was going to pattern myself over, based upon franchises. I'm going to be like Hand and Stone. I'm going to be like this. And I'm like, they would have a sale, I would have a sale. They were doing something, I would do something. They were selling this candle that I still love. I found the candle and I'm like, I'm going to like, it was like, if I do what they do, then I'll be successful. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
that's not what you are here for. You are here
Mhm.
to be you.
Mhm.
Do what you do in the way that you do it. All of who you are.
Mhm. It's funny
All
you said that.
are. And you can't just do it in your personal life and try to be somebody else professionally. And so
Mm.
for now, I don't care what I'm doing, where I'm doing it. And as my daughter just said, you wearing too many hats, and I'm gonna put on some more because I don't know, but I'm always expecting that my spirituality, who I am, is going to express through me in all of the things that I do. So why would I limit myself?
Tell her don't put those SLBs on you. Tell her she gotta
Why
shake them
would
off
I
of
limit
her.
myself? Now, do I stretch myself? Of course I do. But what
Mhm.
did we just say? If you've been called to do something, you can't walk away from it.
Yeah. And that's just me just bringing more support. If we have to ask someone to volunteer some hours, to do some service, like I told you before, like it's okay to ask for help. And I feel like sometimes we feel like we could take everything on and we don't necessarily have to by ourselves. We just choose to because we choose not to get people involved. We don't want to communicate, or we don't want to be vulnerable, whatever the situation is. But it's sometimes it's okay to ask for help.
And that goes against the divine order when we try to do everything by ourselves. We are
Hmm.
communal individuals. We are supposed to be working in conjunction with one another. I told somebody yesterday,
Hmm.
you are responsible for me and I am responsible for you. So what we're doing here is we're supporting one another.
Hmm.
And you're right, that's also part of being human and wanting to be in control, and this is my baby and I know best. We all know best, and we all have things that we can bring to the table. We've talked about, collaborating on some things. That was something that I also had to learn to do, how to collaborate with people, because I have an idea in my mind and I want it to be the way that I want it to be it. But again, if it's in Yolanda's mind, it's limited to the way Yolanda sees it. If I start collaborating with other people, then it becomes more expansive, it becomes bigger, it becomes greater. Get the egos out of the way about who's going to be leading. We are here to heal one another and uplift
Hmm.
one another. And we can't do that if we're operating in silos or we're too afraid to tell people what it is that we're doing. One of the reasons we're having this conversation is we don't like to do this, but how do people going to know what we're doing if we're not telling people what we're doing?
This is true, which is you were a key catalyst and to me actually diversifying my tarot readings because I only kept the camera on the
Uh,
cards.
listen,
And you was like, why you not on
I was
camera? And I'm
like,
like,
why am I
I
looking
want
at
to
your
be on camera.
hands? Where's your face? Like, can you
I
please
want to be
look
on
at
camera.
the camera?
So, that was challenging for me because, I just don't know. Just something I wasn't used to. And that was just me keeping myself in my own box, standing in my own way. And a lot of us will do that. We won't reach out to so and so because of what happened 10 years ago. Like, girl, that was 10 years ago. Like, patch it up if there still needs to be a conversation about it and
Mhm.
move forward. But this is
Right.
why the importance of spiritual healing is so important so that we all can evolve. We all can raise our vibrations because we all need to let go of this petty mentality and get real with ourselves because life is too short and we can all be out here winning but we're worried about the wrong things.
Listen, and where you going where you're not going to run into people? We all listen. no man is an island, as they say. No man, no woman is an island. We
Hmm.
have to start working with one another. And I've also found that collaboration may not always work out. However, part of that is the process, learning how to work with people. You have to learn how to do that. And sometimes it works out well, sometimes it doesn't, but you're going to learn something either way. You either learn who to work with, or you learn who not to work with, or you discover things about yourself. But you will never discover those things if you keep yourself limited and
Hmm.
thinking this passion is my passion and it's my passion alone. Listen,
Right.
we whew, there's more than enough because the universe operates in abundance. There's more than enough for all of us.
And that's another thing that people have to genuinely learn, because sometimes as people in our communities, we tend to operate like crabs in a barrel. Well, I don't want to help Sister Sheila out because she'll be preaching next week and I ain't preached a sermon yet. And it's like, come on, we don't, why are we worried about
Why does
that?
it
Like,
matter? Right.
what is
If
going on here?
if
Like,
it's really about the work, then why
if
does it
it's meant
matter
for,
who is doing it? We could
and this
all
is.
be doing it together.
And we have to just accept that what is meant for us will never pass us by. And when
Yep.
our time is called, we just need to be ready. If that's what you really want to do, what are you doing to get yourself prepared? What are you doing to get yourself ready for it? What are you doing to motivate yourself to gain that momentum to get that train moving for yourself?
Right. And even the so-called failures are still part of the process. But if
They're
you are
success
just
stories.
listen, if you are still writing down the same thing 20 million times, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do, and you've written it 20 million times and there's no execution, then you're just wasting paper and we don't need you to do that. Please be kind to
Hmm.
the environment. Start to live those passions out. And so, can you give us some tips? Give Coach Yolanda some tips of how she gets out of those limiting beliefs, because again, they can take hold of our dreams, they can take hold of our mindset, and the next thing you know, we're not only not speaking life into ourselves, we're not speaking life into other people. And
Hmm.
that was one thing that I had to be mindful of, which also makes me sit myself down, so to speak. As a spiritual life coach, if I'm talking negatively to myself, I can't be in other people's life, business, or anything else, because I don't want my energy spilling over and possibly saying, "Yeah, girl, you're right. You should quit because you ain't
Yeah.
good at what you do." Like I literally could do that because that's the way I'm feeling. So,
Hmm.
how do you support your clients in moving out of those limiting beliefs?
So one thing that I encourage my clients to do is take a spiritual bath, because that would also help start to detoxify some of those blockages that we have built up since birth, possibly, right, in generations. We've heard of, well, some of us, hopefully, we may have heard of generational curses. So that is something that will help start the purification process. Next, I encourage everyone to meditate, to find a way to get your spirit grounded some type of way, whether that's just vibing out to music,
Mm-hmm.
dancing, going on a nature walk, just being out in the forest. Go hug a tree.
Child.
Go take your shoes and socks off and dig them in the dirt as deep as you can. For me, comforting for me is water. So I love to swim. If anybody's listening and likes to get around water, go be around water. Or play it on your phone if you can't get to water. But I love to swim, so I try to swim as much as I possibly can. And when I can't, I fill my tub up and I submerge myself.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever I can do to get in that energy of being in that energy. And that's another important thing, is to get in that energy, to feel that energy, and then that way it also allow the door to open up of the death and the rebirth, which comes out in the tarot. For those that watch tarot, it's a death card, which is a form of transformation.
Mm-hmm.
So that would allow the transformation to also assist you. Also, journaling is so vital and so important. I have a spiritual journal every day, and when you spoke earlier about your emotions and how you were feeling, I write down every day. I do my little gas tank. It could be really simple. I do a gas tank, halfway full. I circle what am I feeling in the morning. If it's half a tank, I write a descriptive paragraph to myself of why I feel like that. What experiences that I feel the day before that made me cause me to get in this energy. And journaling really is vital, and it really works because putting things on paper is powerful.
Oh my goodness. So I have a great example. So Jay says, when I said
Hey, Jay.
I'm responsible for you, you are responsible for me, he says he disagrees based on life experience. He's been too disappointed by too many people too many times. And this is a great example, Jay, of
Hmm.
how I'm going to demonstrate how you are responsible for me and I'm responsible for you. If you had not said that, it would not create within me the ability to respond, not to prove that I'm right, but for us to have an open discussion. So, us communicating is me being responsible to you, you being responsible to me. You showing and saying to me, I disagree, I love it because I don't want everybody to agree with what I say. Because I'm not here talking about something that I read in a book, even though I did pick up a book. I'm talking about my life experience. I too have been disappointed by so many people so many times in my life. If I let those disappointments keep me from connecting with other people, I am never going to realize my full potential, and I may not ever get a letter or have someone say, "Oh, you said something that inspired me." But if I shut my mouth because other people have disappointed me, then where does that leave me? They win.
Hmm.
I'm not going to let people who have
Absolutely.
I'm not going to let people who have let me down win in this exchange between the
Spiritual
two of us.
battle. Hmm.
Right. You know, I can't disappoint me. People can disappoint me all day long. Doesn't mean that it feels good, but this is what it's not going to do. It's not going to stop me from realizing my potential, my purpose, and what God has placed me in this earth to do. And so I have had what I consider to be in my life one of the greatest disappointments in my life happen to me. If I let that stop me from being who I am, connecting to people, doing things like this, if I let that kind of energy live in my body, then those people, those experiences that let me down, they get to win. They get to live. They get to take root. And how do I know that that's not going to take place? How do I know that my children aren't watching me? How do I know that other people aren't watching me to see how I'm going to respond? How do I know that some redemptive story or experience that I share with someone is what they need to hear to push them to also not let disappointment stop them from doing the things that they were created to do?
Absolutely. I agree
And
with that,
so the
Yolanda.
disappointment that
And
I've experienced from other people has also led me to my greatest experience of forgiveness. I have had to forgive people who were never sorry for what they did.
hmm.
And that has created an expanded viewpoint of love in my life. I can't worry about what it did for them. I can tell you right now that this weekend I am going to be in the presence of someone who hurt me greatly, never said sorry, never apologized. If I let that stop me, if I let their disappoint me stop me from still being responsible for them, there's a whole lot of people that would be impacted. I don't let other people's behavior determine how I show up in the world. I don't let other people's um, disappointment determine how I show up in the world. I know, and I tell myself on a daily basis, even in those moments when I'm having an emotional imbalance, that I'm God's favorite daughter. So I don't get to be a disappointment to other people just because I've been disappointed. So I absolutely am responsible for you, Jay. And in that question, you were responsible for me because maybe I needed to hear that. Maybe I wasn't believing that before you asked that question, but because you asked that question, it might have touched a nerve. And I'm like, I got to let Jay know who I am. So you are responsible. We are all responsible, not in a way where I can determine your life path, where I can get you to where you need to be. I can facilitate as a spiritual life coach, I can support, but the responsibility is ultimately on all of us. But
Absolutely.
all of us have gifts that we can be supporting one another with. And wouldn't it be a better environment to live in, grow in, if we lived with that thought that I got people depending upon me and I'm going to show up. I'm going to do the best that I can. Doesn't mean that I'm perfect. Sometimes I'm on a human sabbatical. but I'm trusting that it's not going to be long. And that thing that was built and designed and it's in my DNA is going to come forth. And I'm going to be able to say, do, or become whatever is necessary. Again, I don't know who's watching me. I don't know who's listening to me. We don't know. But we can be sure that it's someone. And it may be that we have no idea. It could be a stranger in the supermarket. You could say one thing that changes the course of their life and they remember it forever. I've had those experiences where I've met someone, couldn't even tell you what they looked like, but I remember what they said to me and I still hold it in my heart. And so, in that way, we are responsible for one another. And I think that also makes us more clear and more likely to live with integrity when you're thinking it's not just about me. There's a bigger picture here. I am part of a bigger picture. So if I'm not showing up in my full authentic self, if I'm not being the version of myself that I know that I can be, then I might be letting somebody else down and I don't even know it. Can you imagine if you were letting people down and you didn't even know it? I know how bad I feel when I do know. I can't imagine if a host of people said, "Well, you didn't show up on Sunday, and I needed to hear that. And because you weren't there, things are not going well for me." Would I feel guilty? Probably for a little bit, but I don't know how I'm being utilized. I don't know what my service is all of the time. I take the best of what God gives me, and I do what I can. But what I do know is that other people, whether they knew it or not, have made it possible for me to be here. When I wasn't feeling my best, there were friends who would show up. There were people who were praying. There were people who would say things they didn't know I needed to hear that you know and so in many ways other people are responsible for what you see. Other people are responsible for 20 years of me getting from a place of, yeah, I'd like to do that, to I did that. I
Yep.
did that. The thing that I had been wanting to do, I took a leap of faith, and it wasn't just because it was in me. It was because other people also were like, I think you would be good at that. How can I help you do that? And to this day, I don't even know how I got connected to these people. There was an email that was in my inbox that said, "Hey, we're doing interviews to join our spiritual life coaching class. Are you interested?" And I'm like, "I've been interested for 20 years. Of course I'm interested." And here we are having this conversation. So I'm grateful that I found my way in your car that day, and we started to have this conversation like it was a conversation that started oh so long ago. I'm led to believe that it did,
Hmm.
spiritually and energetically, and we just happened to meet up to continue the conversation to this moment
Absolutely.
that neither one of us wanted to do.
And I didn't even foresee this. When I initially met you, if you would have told me this, I would have
That
been
this
like,
was
yeah,
part
really?
of the deal of being my
Yeah.
friend. You'd be like, hell no, lady, you're crazy. But there have been moments when you have said to me, why are you not doing that?
Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
you should say yes. And I'm like, okay, because sometimes people see in us the things that we can't see in ourselves.
Yeah, this is
Um,
true.
so I trusted it. And just like when you were, I was watching your video, I'm like, why is she showing us her hands? I know this woman's face and we need to see it. And as we said earlier, when it's your purpose, your passion, how do you walk away from it? It's like walking away from the love of your life.
Hmm. It
Oh,
is. It's true.
and
It's
sometimes
very
we do
difficult.
that.
And yeah, and sometimes we, when the time is right, it comes back together if it's meant to be. So, and that's why we got to go through life on this journey and just see what sticks and what works,
Mm.
and just go with it. And if we feel the inkling to do it, then just follow that inkling, and it's leading us somewhere. It may not necessarily be that we're thinking, but we're being led somewhere. So just
Somewhere.
follow the crumbles, follow the cookie crumbles.
Oh my gosh. And yes, it's scary to do so. I don't want anyone walking away thinking, oh, it's just so light. And I don't do light and airy love. And I mean, I do love and light,
Hmm.
but I also do truth and
Hmm.
the perspective that a healing journey It ain't all rainbows and playing in the grass. And sometimes it feels like the darkest time of your life. And sometimes, Jay, those people that disappoint you, that's also purposeful.
Mhm.
Because sometimes it, like you said earlier, Leash, the spiritual muscle that we have to develop to deal with the things that we have to deal with so that we don't succumb to the bitterness. So we don't become the people on the internet like, this sucks. I hate the way you look. I hope your baby, gets a disease. Like people, there's some ugliness out in the world. Those of us who don't want to be a part of that need to also have our voices amplified.
Rejection is tough, in every way. But rejection, if we just remember to tell ourselves that rejection is protection, and again, what's meant for us will never pass us by because
Never.
God knows our true life's purpose and our heart's desires. And so, if your angels love you so much to see that you're heading down a path that is going to end up in despair, then they're going to guide you away from that. Then how can you be upset about that?
I wish I
And
knew
when
that in
they
my 20s, child.
and
That
when they
that
show you things and expose you to things, we got to take the real for what it is and just know that we can't change it. We can't fix it. We got to get out of the Mr. Fix It energy because, we could pray for people. We can also fix it like that, but we can't genuinely fix their situation. Now, we can educate, lead, guide, but at the end of the day, you can't make people do something that they're not ready to do.
and you never know if you're disrupting their spiritual journey.
Yes, this is true.
One of the hardest things for me as a mother of adult children is watching them stumble in places where I feel like I want to reach in and make it all better. And certainly I don't want to see my children struggling, but I also don't want to disrupt their spiritual process, the
Hmm.
things that they will need to gain that spiritual muscle. If I'm there picking up the pieces every single time, they're never going to learn how to do that for themselves. And as
Yeah.
much as I would love to stay on planet Earth with the rest of y'all, when it's my time to go, I'm ready to go. I mean, I would love to take my rest. I am ready to be an ancestor when it's time for me to be one. And so we don't know sometimes when we are disrupting someone else's process or the way that they are going to get the lessons that they need for their own spiritual journey.
Hmm.
Focus on yourself. Focus on yourself, but also do no harm to others even if harm has been done to you. I don't know what this idea of karma that people have, like it's some revenge boomerang, like you did me wrong and wrong is going to come to you. Karma is energy. What you put
Hmm.
out comes back. So if something happens to you and now you're wishing something horrible on somebody else, you think something isn't going to come back to you for wishing
Now
that
you
horrible.
now you added more karma because
Now
now you're
you're
throwing black
right.
magic. What
It's
is
like
going on
let
here?
people be where they at.
Yeah.
Learn, as you said earlier, when to walk away because it may be the best for both or all parties involved. But sometimes we just feel like we're going to pray people into moving where they need to move. Let people be who they be and
Hmm.
show up how they show up, and you focus on yourself. If you can be of service, not to fix people, but to lend support where they have decided that support is necessary. It is not for me. Certainly, as a spiritual life coach, when I'm working with people, I tell you all the time, this is your journey. I'm here to facilitate. I'm like the people that stand out in the road with the stop and the slow and the sign and they don't move. You know what I mean? They just flip the sign, stop, slow down, get to the left, get to the right. I'm not here to say, I need you to drive, 30 minutes down the road, then take a right and then stop. No, this is your journey.
Hmm.
It is your journey to wellness. And so I know as you are also working with clients, I want to show your YouTube and your
Yes.
Instagram. Um, please go on YouTube right now if you're not already on there watching us live, and follow Fiery Falcon. That is the name of your YouTube channel where you are doing live readings, but also giving us what we need to hear.
Absolutely.
Again, tarot, leave it to people who know what they're doing. I am okay not knowing how to do tarot. I tried it, like you said earlier, it didn't work. I'm okay. It doesn't bother me that that's not the way that I receive information. But Leesh is good. Go to her Instagram, go to YouTube. And this is how you can reach out to her in terms of spiritual life coaching services, tarot readings, spiritual baths. She will put together some herbs and spices for a spiritual bath. Again, when we started, we talked about everyone feeling emotionally imbalanced. There are so many different things that can support you, that can
Mhm.
support you. If you are thinking, whether it's crystals, the spiritual bath, if you think that those are the only things that are going to change your life, they are support,
Yes.
support, support, support. It's got to happen internally. It's got
Yes.
to happen. It's got to be a decision that you are making filled with choices that are aligned with the things that you are using for support. So if you are light and sage, but you're still out there doing the same old thing, listen, let's get it right. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Um, there is a grand opportunity within these emotional imbalances, and that grand opportunity is to sit and to feel what you're feeling and say, this is not the experience that I desire to have all of the time.
Mhm.
I desire something else. And as Leesh said earlier, there are so many tools and tips that you can utilize, but it has to be something in your mind that says, this is not what life is supposed to be. This is not what I'm supposed to be experiencing. I know that there is something else. And it could be the catalyst to your greatest transformation. I am telling you what I know and what I've experienced and what I have supported through others. And I know Leash would say the same. Be,
Absolutely.
be mindful of what is going on around you. And if you can, look at it from a perspective of, and if you were watching the last Inner Child Healing series, I talked about A Course in Miracles that says the solution and the problem are the same. It's the same energy, different perspectives. And if you're only focused on the problem, the challenges, then you're not looking at it as also the solution. It takes
Mhm.
time to do that, but I'm telling you, I am telling you what I know. There is something greater for you. None of us are here to suffer. You know, pain is always going to be part of the human experience. You can either suffer or you can heal. You have to make that choice. And sometimes you in between the two of those things.
Mhm.
And healing feels like suffering. The healing can often feel like suffering, like she's talking about healing like it's a great thing. Sometimes it can feel like suffering.
I'm telling you,
But like you said,
because the universe will
surround
strip
yourself.
you of everything that's unwarranted no longer in your life, and we have to be okay with that. That is a part of the process,
Right.
because if it wasn't necessarily, then we wouldn't have to go through it in the first place.
And I think it's okay to grieve those things. That is the part that I am experiencing now. I'm experiencing some grief because things are changing in my life. And I know they're changing for the better, you know,
Mhm.
grander opportunities, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to miss some of the ways that, you know, life was. And so I'm grieving that right now, and that is contributing to some of the emotional imbalance that I'm currently experiencing, but also coming out of. Um, when I talk about work it wellness, it's like, okay, how am I going to work this? That's literally what I say to myself when I'm in an emotional challenge. How you going to work this? You going to be
Mhm.
sad? Maybe 24 hours, 48, maybe a week. Maybe I'm taking a human sabbatical. I love that term. But the way that I work it is, God, show me what it is that I need to see that my humanness is not allowing me to see,
Mhm.
and put me around people that I feel safe enough with that I can see the truth of what's going on.
The most important part is the power of manifestation, and people don't realize how simply we can manifest.
Mm.
but we have to speak those things into our existence, into our path. What do we want to experience? What do we want to, who do we want to experience things with? And they will align you up with the right people. I mean, it's how I bumped into you. I
Ah.
bumped into several other spiritualists, you know, and we worry about the details. We worry about the ingredients. We don't need to worry about the ingredients. When I manifested my trucking company, it didn't cost me one penny out of my pocket. Like, I was worried
Mm.
about the wrong things, but when I released those and I surrendered those things, everything fell into place. You know, it was like
Listen.
connecting the dots. I was led to one place, another place, another place, and next thing I know, the company was here. So we have to just trust. Again, trust. The journey is not easy, but just
Mm.
go with the flow and don't be resistant, because the longer we're resistant, the longer we're, you know, resenting what's on the other side of the bridge, which could be our perfect partner, which could be our dream home, or a dream car, or a dream career, or a dream business, or whatever we are dreaming about.
Mm. I'm experiencing that as well right now, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for it all, and I would not want us to end this conversation without saying that gratitude is one of the greatest healing bombs that anyone could put in their spiritual toolbox, to
Mm-hmm.
continue to find something to be grateful for, even if the only words that you can form with your lips are thank you. It can
Yes.
do wonders for changing your energy. Thank you for the air in my lungs. Thank you for the ability to use my limbs. Thank you for the ability to even have these tears pouring out of my eyes. You
Mm-hmm.
know, whatever it is, however you can see it, be grateful, um, and really recognize that you can't split yourself in two. You can try it and see what happens. You are a whole individual, you are a whole being, and trying to split yourself personally, professionally, and all of the other places that we feel that we need to be, it can be challenging. And so
Yeah.
stand on who you are at all times. And if Leash or I can be of service, I'm on human sabbatical right now, so don't call me. Like, I'm always saying I've got office hours. I ain't got no office hours. Not this week, and maybe not next week either. But it's been a glorious experience, allowing myself to feel everything that I want to feel, and not feeling like I got to rush to do anything.
Yes.
Yes, I have certain commitments. What is supposed to happen will happen. So there's no worry, there's no stress. I'm in a good place, and it's because of people like you. It's because of people that I've surrounded myself with, and I'm so glad that we did this. We were like, are we gonna have anything to talk about? Listen, even with
And
the
remember, Venus is going retrograde the end of this month. And for
please,
those that may be wondering what that means, is that it's going retrograde when things are it's like opposite energy, and it's like kind of reversing a little bit. So we all going to feel that energy shift, and that's going to rule our 12th house, which is our Venusian energy, our feminine and our masculine energy. So it's going to alter our emotions, and it's going to have us juggling and wondering, what do we need to change? What do we need to do different? What do we need to eliminate? So that is going to be, you know, strong throughout the community. Just wanted to throw that out there.
yes, please, and go to Leisha's YouTube channel to get more information. I don't. We didn't know what would happen. You put two fire signs on a live, and we just get the chatting and chatting and chatting. But again, I'm so glad that we did this, and we'll probably do it again.
Yeah.
Um, our next Work It Wellness Wednesday is July 26th. Marissa Price is going to talk about, oh, so many things. Toxic work environments. Marissa saved herself from a toxic work environment, and she shows other people how to do that. There
Hmm.
is a method to that. And so please tune in July 26th, where I will be talking to Marissa. Leash, thank you.
Thank you.
And we need to get together soon in person. But like I said, life is lifing right now. But when the seas calm down, we will connect.
Just
And
call me after your sabbatical.
I shall listen. I don't know. You might be number 6 on the list. It's a long list of people I need to call back. But I am so
Hey, it's
grateful
okay.
that the people that God has placed in my life don't rush me and don't think it is, too much for me to say, not right now. And
Hmm.
so thank you for being one of those people. Thank you for your willingness to do this, even though you were hesitant. Jay, thank you for your question. Thank you for everyone that joined in. Uh,
Thanks, Jay. Hey, Jay.
you know Jay?
I do know Jay.
Oh, hey, Jay. Thank
And
you
thank you to
so.
everyone else that joined in that did not
Yes.
comment.
And Mama Meditations will be back Sunday, August 6th. Can't wait
Yay!
to restart that series on inner child healing. And I didn't put my Instagram and all of the other things, but y'all can find me wherever y'all need to find me. My website is right there. So you can go there to find other events that I will be doing. And thank y'all for tuning in. Love y'all. Bye.
Thank y'all. Bye.